Joining me now, Victoria Cobb. She is the executive director of the Virginia Family Foundation. Victoria Cobb, what a week. And it all started with Northam's position on third-term abortion, the Kathy Tram bill that is now people have forgotten about, except the president reminded everybody in his State of the Union speech when he called it legalized execution. Victoria, what do you make of all this?
Well, this is wild times we're living in. I mean, absolutely never could imagine. I mean, no one could play out this scenario. It does sound like a drama you'd see on television. And it did all start with these comments from Northam and the bill. And, we were pleased to hear the president call it like it is. That was exciting for folks who have known this for a long time, who have believed that this is a gruesome practice. So to hear him really lay it out for the American people just tells you kind of where this issue now sits. But yeah, we're looking at very uncertain times here in Richmond. All of these organizations, ours included, are passing bills and trying to figure out, okay, what governor's desk is this going to land on? We assume it'll still be Northam, but these days it's hard to imagine. And I did find another thing you and I agree on: Jeff Ryer, brilliant mind. Totally agree with you. They're in great hands over there with Jeff and some of Speaker Cox's team.
So, Victoria, from the standpoint of the Family Foundation, President Trump mentioning Ralph Northam in his State of the Union speech and referring to his late third-term anything-goes abortion bill, I think he called it a legal execution. What did you think of that?
It's a home run speech. It was a home run speech, not just on this issue, but it was a home run speech. I mean, and you mentioned it. When you have the mainstream media who are no fans of the president, when their audience says this is a home run speech, you know that he has met the challenge and exceeded it.
How do you think this is going to play out, Victoria? I mean, you've been around Richmond a long time. You follow all this stuff.
Well, we certainly watched parties implode. Maybe not to this degree, maybe not at this level, but we've watched political parties sort of, I mean, we're literally watching a circle of people shooting themselves. And usually that's the Republicans, so it's interesting to watch it on the other side. It's what's challenging is that I think when it was one of the top officials, people could kind of take that in, and there were calls for resignation. I think now that all three have such serious allegations or just background that's just so reprehensible, I think people are trying to figure out how to digest this. And the fact that if you really called for the resignations of all of them, you'd switch parties. People aren't really ready to handle that, but it's sort of what else is the answer? Because leaving these folks in office, to your point, I mean, boy, if they all sit in office and you get to a November election, the Republicans are looking really good because they're not going to have that dead weight hanging over them. I mean, Republicans remember what it was like to run when Bob McDonnell was under indictment. And, you had a governor who could have been such an asset on the sidelines, unable to really, be part of your messaging, unable to really raise money for you. I mean, Republicans, that's fresh in the memory of that party. And now the Democrats are going to experience this at a sort of catastrophic level.
I don't see how they have a successful election in November. Look, I mean, General Assembly is going to end in 2 or 3 weeks here. Whatever bills go, they go. I'm kind of aggravated by the whole casino stall, so as you know.
Yeah.
Let's say you're running for, let's pick any House member that's on the bubble. Let's say you're Deborah Rodman, okay? You're Delegate Deborah Rodman, and you're on the bubble, right? It's a swing district somewhere in Richmond, Henrico, whatever. And so you're Deborah Rodman, and you have a fundraiser. Who the hell are you going to invite? Ralph Northam? Right. Nope, can't do that. Mark Herring, blackface. Oh, no, sorry, brownface. Can't do that. Justin Fairfax, can't do that. Let's see, Alfonso Lopez, can't do that. I mean, you just start crossing people off. I mean, who do you have? And
the fact that Bobby Scott is now drawn into this is a little bit shocking. Just that you just kind of wonder who knows what, when, and how in the world do they not know how to handle these kind of situations. I mean, that's alarming. I mean, we would hope that no one would ever sort of cover over or gloss over a Me Too situation. And now you've got that sort of in the mix. I don't know. I think you're right. They're really going to struggle for how to put forward somebody that's worth coming to see at a fundraiser. I think a lot of these delegates signed on to that bill. We're not going to let the people of Virginia forget that. You know, we've got 23 delegates that were either co-patrons or voted. We put that in the video with scrolling names, and we're going to keep producing. I think every candidate's going to produce mail that says, hey, you signed on or you voted. Rodman was, you know, one of those, I believe. And so, you know, you got 12 senators that their names attached to this bill. So there's a lot that's going to have to be attempted to overcome. And we're seeing candidates come out of the woodwork. I mean, my phone has been ringing in the last week in a way that I have not seen in a long time, with people going, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to step in the fight. Now, how that materializes is a question, but it's exciting to see our side finally go, yeah, there's something to fight for here, and these are winnable.
It's not only did it motivate the base, because, Victoria, we have had this conversation, you and I, we've had this conversation off air, I think. But look, I'm a pro-life Catholic, but I am not for the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I know you are. We don't agree on that. I just am not. I think it's law. It's been there too long. And so I'm one of those Catholics that are pro-life, that you just kind of deal with it and you look the other way and you go on with your life. But the abortion bill of Kathy Tram shocked me. It was,
hard to look the other way on that one.
It was shocking to me. It was like I was shocked by it. And I didn't realize they were doing this in other states. I kind of heard about the New York bill, but, you know, I went on to something else. It just shocked me and it appalled me, and I was aghast by the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, what are they doing? Like, and just a matter of fact, this the way Tram explained it, and then Northam gets on the radio, Victoria, and it was like he was ordering up a black coffee and a donut at Dunkin' Donuts or something, or went to Jiffy Lube and said, well, let's do an oil change, but if you find anything, let's also change the air filter. I mean, it was bizarre.
And around the country, these bills are in legislatures all over the place. You know, Vermont's looking at it. I just got an email from a colleague in Massachusetts saying, okay, we're heading into the fight on basically the same bill. This is not unusual. This is the abortion industry looking for. I mean, keep in mind, the abortion that happens at the very end, that's about a $4,500 event there for them. An abortion that happens early term, it's a couple $100. I mean, they know what they're doing. This is not. They have no value for human life, and they make a whole lot more money if this thing starts becoming kind of the way people address the situation. It's shocking.
But it's motivated people, because it was a wake-up call for them, right? It motivated people, and they were like, wow, this is some pretty crazy stuff here. So it motivated people. I'm literally
walking to a rally where there will be hundreds and hundreds of people on the steps of the Capitol in just about 30 minutes, and it's because they said it's time to go, time to get involved.
Exactly. So it's motivated people, and it's also motivated people to run for office. And tell us about the rally this afternoon. I know we had Chris Shores on earlier in the week, but tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, Chris organized it. It's kind of an organic thing, but they've invited a lot of the pro-life groups to speak, and the legislators are speaking. But it's just a chance for people who are saying, what do I do now? You know, there's a lot of folks that are just going, I don't want to just be the person that's angry and venting, you know, to my friends. I actually want to do something. So they're coming out to make sure that they're seeing that the legislature understands how many pro-lifers there are, and that they're going to care, and that, you know, we want to see more significant legislation on the other side next year. We want to keep blocking these things. So we're just looking forward to an opportunity to kind of gather together. And my remarks will be about how you turn a moment into a movement. You know, this can't just be a rally. You know, that's not the point. The point is not a rally. The point is, how do we collectively work together to protect the unborn?
Victoria Cobb, what a week this has been, no question about it. And so again, this whole stemmed from this abortion bill. You know, the other thing, Victoria, I read the one that is going to pass in Vermont. Have you read that one, the one in Vermont?
It's just horrific.
I mean, that's even worse than Virginia or New York. You want to share with our audience, because that's going to pass, and the governor's already said he's going to sign it of Vermont. Just share with our audience what that bill allows. You just got to think about
their goals are abortion on demand for any reason, and frankly, you know, they don't need a doctor doing it in their minds. That's literally the level of what it looks like. They would have unsafe facilities and nurses and whoever. I jokingly tell my friend in California, so can you basically go to a 7-Eleven to get an abortion now over in California? I mean, that's the world that they would envision if their laws became, if their bills became law.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. All right, John Frederick's Radio Network. I want to thank Victoria Cobb for being with us. Big rally today. It's at the state capitol. How many people do you expect, Victoria?
I really don't know what to expect, but I know, just a little thing that was organized outside Delegate Tran's office on Saturday in no time was, at least 500 people. So I would expect you'll see at least 1,000 people out here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
John Fredericks Radio Network.